police in Jamaica are not letting black people teach their children. Do you understand? They're not letting black people teach their children. So we need to have black men in front of our boys. That is the problem. The issue with primary school is it's ran by women globally. Globally. Nothing wrong with the women, but the issue is women only know how to effectively deal most of the time with female students. Boys are not girls. When girls go through puberty, they sleep all day. When boys go through puberty, they want to run all day. So the school has to be able to adapt to the fact that your 10, 11, and 12-year-old boys have a large amount of natural energy that needs to be released. And if you're not providing them with enough physical activity, they can't focus on the academics. And you call it ADHD. It's not ADHD. It's poor academic system planning is what it is. And then it's also ain't no daddy at home disorder. A lot of our boys are not getting that discipline from the father because he's not there. And then there's also artificial diet at home disorder because we're feeding our children too much artificial synthetic food and sweetener. Cut that sugar out the diet. High fructose corn syrup got to go as well. Okay, all artificial sweeteners got to go. Many of our children are addicted to sugar. It's not ADHD, it's a sugar addiction. And then we also have the emotional issues of our children. Many of our children have emotional problems stemming from family dysfunction. So sometimes I refer to ADHD as an attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction. So I would love to help. I would love to help. And I wouldn't even charge. I would do it out of love for African people. Let's build a mental health system here. Let's build a mental health system here. Because one of the things we have to understand as Pan-Africanists, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Yes. And with all these spiritual and psychological and emotional issues we got within ourselves and amongst one another, how are we going to combat white supremacy? How are you going to put an army of mentally unhealthy people into a war? You think we got coons now? There'll be more coons. But I absolutely believe in our ability as a people to win. I absolutely do. Every last one of you in this room right now, you were born at this time to solve these problems. So stop asking yourself, why did God let me be born now? Why am I in this world now? I don't want to be here. You were born to solve these problems now. And yes, you must keep your relationship with the Almighty. But don't be a dependence on the Almighty. God does not solve your problems for you. That's what's wrong with religion. It incorrectly miseducates our people into thinking that Jesus is going to come and do this. You will never see a hand stretched down from heaven. God works through you. So if the problem is going to be solved, it's going to be solved by us, but God will work through us. Stop looking for an agency external to African people to address our crises. We have to address those crises ourselves. Which is why lazy and activism can't go together. If you are lazy, you cannot be an activist. If you are not a problem solver, you cannot call yourself a Pan-Africanist. And if you are a multiculturalist, you cannot be a Pan-Africanist either. I don't even understand how Negroes fall for the multiculturalism, caring about everybody equally. Are you out of your damn mind? Nobody cares about African people. How you got time to care about everybody else? Care about yourself first. If you can help another person, help another person. We're not against aiding people of other culture, but you don't put their agenda above yours. Jamaica's problems will never be more important to China than China's problems. Common sense. But the reason we're so brainwashed into loving everybody else except ourselves is because deep down inside of us, part of our post-traumatic slavery disease rests on a need to be validated by non-Arabs. We want Chinese to like us. We want white people to like us. We want Arabs to like us. We want East Indians to like us. We want the Russians and the British and the French. We want them to like us. And that's why we can't never get rid of white supremacy, because we're the only people in human history in need of a revolution where you need your enemy to love you before you can fight. It'll never win. We are too emotionally dependent on non-African people. 157 years out of slavery, and we still emotionally dependent on these white folks. Had a conversation up in the States the other day. Brother Cornell West, I respect him, good elder. He said he's going to run for president of the United States. Okay. But are you going to run for black people, or are you going to be a multiculturalist? He said he's going to be a multiculturalist. What good are you for us? What good are you for us? The problem with black people is we don't have people focusing on our issues. Somebody sent me a video of a Chinese woman in Jamaica talking about how she's a Jamaican, and can't nobody tell her she's not. You can't go to China and talk like that. So why do Chinese feel so comfortable coming to Jamaica and talking like they own the damn joint? You will never go to China and do what they do here. But it takes us to another problem we have. Black people around the world have been distracted with democracy instead of development. We don't need democracy, we need development. But they distract you. Who are you going to vote for, him or her? Who are you going to vote for, her and her? And then when you look at who financed both of their campaigns, they both financed by the same people dominating the rape in Jamaica. You ain't got no damn choice. The biggest lie I told the black people is the illusion of a choice. You ain't choosing. You're choosing personality, but you're not choosing policy. You're not choosing policy. Who running for office in Jamaica who want to give African people control of the land? Who running for office in Jamaica who's going to give our children a fully financed education from K all the way to college? Who's running in Jamaica who's going to control the economic spread of the Chinese agenda and then empower the local Jamaicans with business loans and grants from the government to get our people involved in industry so we can push back on the Chinese explosion? That's who I want to vote for, but none of that is up for me. So what ultimately are you voting for? You're voting for a personality. You're voting for the person who's going to administer the oppression. Just like us in America, Democrats and Republicans, they got the same agenda when it comes to black people. It's the same agenda when it comes to black people. There ain't no difference. Go vote. The best thing you can do is vote. This is all a scam. Did the white man take America through the vote? No. Did the British take Jamaica through a vote? No. The world we live in is run on power, not elections. The world we live in is run on power, not elections. Biggest question I would have for the Jamaican parliament: how much more of the businesses and land you're going to allow the Chinese to creep up and steal? At some point, you have to stop it, or they will own the island. And you know why they will own the island? Because your government is not empowering you to own the island. See, it's either going to be immigrants, or it's going to be indigenous Jamaicans that are going to run the industries in the land. And if the government isn't empowering us with the finances we need to buy and operate, that automatically means the Chinese and the Indians will own the whole island eventually. Why? Because they're coming from China with a line of credit. They're coming from India with a line of credit. They're coming from Europe with a line of credit. So if the brothers and sisters on the ground in Jamaica don't have a line of credit to buy and own anything, you're automatically dictating that non-Jamaicans will run this island. Thanks. It's the same thing everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, there's non-African people gaining a decisive upper hand over the land and the industries of Jamaica. I saw when Chinese were building 2 hospitals for Jamaica. One of them is a children's hospital. We're going to trust our kids to the Chinese? You're going to trust Chinese for Jamaican babies? Are you crazy? You think the Chinese are any different than the Europeans when it comes to black population control? A couple months ago, the Chinese said they was going to give Africa 2 million doses of the for free. You out of your damn mind. I'm going to take a Beijing concoction